So at the end of the last video, I realized I probably didn't explain what dichroic stacks are well enough. So I wanted to go into a little bit more detail on what exactly it is that I do and what exactly is a dichroic stack. And I think probably the best place to start is a more accurate name. So dichroic stacks is kind of a shorthand for what it is. It's what I call it in conversation, but a more accurate term would be laser etched borosilicate dichroic laminations, which is a mouthful, and if you're not familiar with each of those terms, probably a little bit confusing, but it's a bit more correct. So laser etching obviously refers to the process of laser etching the glass, so removing some of the dichroic mirror and creating an image onto it. Borosilicate is the type of glass that I'm using, I'm not going to go into crazy detail about it, but what you need to know is that it is a more durable, more clear glass than some other commercial glasses and art glasses that you would see. Dichroic, laser etched borosilicate dichroic, is the name of the coating that is on the glass itself. So it's a beautiful process of depositing metal oxides onto a side of the glass, and it creates a super reflective, vibrant, colorful mirror coating. And it's what kind of gives the dichro stacks their color. And dichroic glass has some interesting properties that I'll probably go into a deeper dive in about what exactly dichroic glass is in another video, but it has shifting colors. So when you look at it straight on, it's one color. When you look through it, so if there's a light behind it and you're able to see through it, it's another color. And when you look at it flat and you see the light bouncing off of it, it's a third color. And it's a very unique and beautiful glass. And then lamination refers to the process of gluing them together. So I use a resin epoxy. It's a museum grade resin, so it won't yellow, and it has the same clarity and hardness as the glass that I'm using. So it effectively is indistinguishable from the glass. So when two pieces of glass are resin glued together with this stuff, the seam goes practically invisible, and it's a wonderful product. And so I wanted to show you some finished pieces and kind of describe a little bit about what it is that I'm doing. So this is a piece that it's a collaboration. Hold on a second. Fuck. So yeah, this is a dichro stack that I finished. It's a collaboration with a glass artist named Stephen Bamey, and he is a flame worker that specializes in millefury, which is a wonderful technique in the glass world, old technique, rich history, and he puts a lot of unique images into glass using a different method, making milli. So this is an image that he created and that I adapted for dichro stacks. So you can see, these are mirrors. You can see the reflection of the camera in it. These are highly reflective mirrors. And by changing the angle, you can kind of see the color shifting as well. So that's the purple in the background, the silvers, the gold in the teeth goes to a green. And you can see that these are, in fact, stacked layers of glass. And that's what kind of creates this little bit of shadow that you maybe see down here at the bottom of the face. It's a little hard to get the camera just right, but there is a depth to this face. It is not just a flat image. And that's kind of the real benefit of doing a layering effect like this. So this is another piece with another artist. This is a tattoo artist in Modesto called Pocus. And she drew this crazy multi-eyed cat, bobcat thing. And you can see much better in this one, the depth. So down here at the bottom, you can see that this cat head is floating on top of the background here. And that's an effect created by, physically separating the back layers from the top layers. So this is about 6 layers 6 layers thick, and each layer is about 2 to 3 millimeters or so. Yeah, and each color is its own layer, is essentially how it works out. So each piece starts off as a larger pane of glass. You know, I have kind of an example I can show. Here is an example of a larger pane of glass. It comes in a full circle. So this is a half, so imagine it goes around like that. And with the laser, I'm able to etch the mirror off, and then I'm able to cut out the piece. And once you have multiple layers, multiple pieces together, you know, so here's an example. It might be a little hard to tell. So here's part of a Metatron cube pendant. So one part is gold, and that is the actual sacred geometry part. And then this part is, I think the color is called amethyst, and it's the background. And then when stacked together, you know, they line up and it creates a full image. And that's essentially what I'm doing, but just with more and more complex images. I do make pendants. You know, I have one here I can show. This is a reticello pattern, kind of from my glass blowing days. This is, a very famous ancient glass blowing pattern. And yeah, here's another one from another artist. This guy's Rolando out of Oakland, adapting his image. You know, because the mirrors are so reflective, you really have to choose what it's reflecting. So right now you can see the camera in, but if I tilt it up to my ceiling, which is white, you know, there's the light on the ceiling, but if I tilt it up to the ceiling, you get just a white reflection, and that's probably the best way to kind of see the image, you know, because it is so reflective. You know, this glass was originally designed for use in space. It was designed to be reflectors for solar panels, so it's meant to take a small amount of light and transmit it very, very effectively. So it's highly reflective, which I think gives it a lot of vibrancy, you know, a lot of radiance. But with all of these, they're not images that I created. They're images that other artists, other painters, other illustrators have created. And then even the reticello is a classic glass blowing pattern. You know, so it's hard to take credit for that as well. So that kind of brings me to what I'm doing with this video series. It's about developing my own artistic ability with illustrating to create images specifically for this. And with each of these images, like this Rolando one, for instance, you know, this was a painting that he made, and of course he had no idea that I was going to ask to adapt his image. So there's some elements in this that weren't clearly in the background or the foreground, and so that made it a little difficult to separate into layers. You know, additionally, he had the full paint palette to choose from. With dichroic glass, there's really a limited selection of colors to choose from. There's only about 20. In fact, I have the full color palette right here. You know, I use CBS dichroic, and this is the full range of colors that I have. So, you know, it's not unlimited. I haven't figured out a way to blend colors yet. So that's it. So adapting existing images has some limitations, and I ran into some of those limitations with other collaborations that I've yet to finish. So working on images that are designed for this, I think is just going to be for the best. So that's really what the focus is about. It's about honing my own ability so that I can make images purposely for dichroic stacks. And then ultimately that'll get me to my end goal of a gallery show. So, you know, I hope this sheds a little light on what exactly I'm doing and what exactly is a dichro stack. Thanks for watching.